All right, let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to Developing Daily Ease. This is our first development call for Evolving Mindsets and course material that we're going to offer to the community. And I wanted to start with a process that I've been doing for over 15 years that has helped me in every technical job I've ever had. This may not be applicable to someone who's working a construction job or physical labor, as this is about sorting through email schedules, taking care of action items, and then how to engage with your teams. So, specifically in that focus, if you're in any kind of job where you need to email or engage with people, this is a process that's really good. What it does is it helps jumpstart our day so that we get in, we find what we need fast, we take care of what we can, we ensure that we've scheduled out everything that we need to schedule out, and then gives us the opportunity to go engage with our audience, with our teammates, family, whoever it is, in a way that gets us in a great mood for the day, right? So we're going to start out and feel confident and feel happy for the day. And I've been doing this every day for many years as a project manager, operations manager, CEO, you name it, as an artist, even. If you're struggling with getting tasks accomplished or finding time or maybe getting overwhelmed by social media, this helps put it all in a nice little box for you so that you can get done what you need to get done without getting lost in the miasma of all the overwhelming amount of things that need to happen out there. So let me share my screen and we'll get started. All right, move this out of the way a little. All right, welcome to Evolving Mindsets. So, welcome to the class. A couple ground rules here. Show up for yourself. This is for you. This is your time. Hopefully, you're able to focus, but come to learn and come to get something out of this. Please be mindful of others. If you're having a lot of background noise on your calls, then make sure you mute your mics. And but ask questions. We're all here to work together, so let's just be mindful of each other. And speaking of questions, join in and ask questions. This is not meant to be a one-shot, one-directional information dispensation, right? We want to get engagement, want to talk and hear about how this may or may not work for you. So, whatever questions you have, feel free to ask. If you need to take a break, just take a break. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. You can turn your camera off, make sure you mute it or leave it on, whatever you want, step away and go take a break. And then also stay safe and have fun. If there's some kind of emergency that happens wherever you're at, stop what you're doing and respond to that. Outside of that, let's have a good time and get going. So first, we're going to talk about our warning, our big disclaimer here for courses at Evolving Mindsets. Throughout this content, we are going to talk about the good feelings associated with success. The side effects may include happiness, a loss of depression, increased productivity, decreased resentment, celebratory outbursts, and even the joy of unconditional success. Do not continue if you enjoy failure, a lack of results, or being miserable. All right, let's keep an open mind. If we change nothing, nothing is permanent. If we can change our mind, better things are more likely. If we can change our attitude, success is more probable. And if we can change our beliefs, anything is possible. That's my core principle and operating modus operandi, right? I believe that change begins with us. It begins with our mind. It begins with what we think. It develops into our attitude, which eventually becomes our beliefs. And if we can change our beliefs, I believe that anything is truly possible. So, welcome to Developing Daily Ease, how to quickly create success for your entire day. So, let's talk about why we're going to talk about this, right? In managing large global operations, I found it was really easy to get overwhelmed and buried under a task. Even in my early days, just as a project manager or a technician, even or an engineer, there's just a lot of information that comes in. And if you miss key points of information, then that becomes a problem, right? Things get delayed, things don't get delivered on time, and it can be a challenge. Hold on just one moment. Okay. So, what are the problems we're solving, right? Starting out stressed and confused, right? Like you wake up, you just get to work. Oh my God, what's happening? People are talking about stuff, but you don't know what's going on. Um, you know, maybe you had crazy traffic. We want to figure out how do we get out of that. That's why I recommend do this as early in the day as possible, but you can, if it works better for you, do this process in the evening. Sometimes I do it twice a day because for me, it's become so fast. I can go through the whole process in about half an hour. I recommend starting with an hour and boxing it into an hour. Don't let this take more than an hour. When you hit the hour mark, you're done. So if you only get through E and A and you hit your hour, take a break because what you need to do is train yourself to optimize this process. So practice the optimization of it. We'll go through all those optimization steps as we cover this. Another problem, I just mentioned missing small important details. Someone said something and they're like, oh, didn't you see the email I sent yesterday morning on that? And you're like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about because, you did it take a few minutes to check your email effectively. Being overwhelmed, unresponsive, kind of the same thing. You got a lot of going on. People feel like you're not responding to stuff. Also, setting a bad example. If you don't do these things that you most likely need your team, your management, even, and your employees to do, by not doing this yourself, you're setting a bad example for it, which helps to create an unproductive atmosphere. So let's get into the process itself. What we're going to do, the target is the first step in E's, the first E is email cleanup, right? So typically I like for this to be no more than 10 minutes, right? So we're going to do 10, 10, 10, and 30 for the last E. But you may find that the first time you do this, the whole 60 minutes ends up on the E because sometimes we've just been so um, we get emails from everything wants your email and everything's dumping in a bunch of stuff. We're going to cover that more in a second, but first thing we'll do is to clean up the email, sift and sort through. In that sifting and sorting, I'll add here what we're looking for is just getting rid of trash and finding things that are important and making sure that our inbox only has those important things. The A, action items. So what we're looking here for is quick wins. What can I do in just a few minutes? Again, we only want to spend 10 minutes here. Might be beginning out. Maybe this is 15, 20, or even 30 minutes for you. That's okay. Wherever you start, it will get faster as we stay on top of these things. But this could be answering emails that only need a yes or a one-line response. This could be sending a quick note, scheduling a task out. In this action item part too, what we want to do is it also helps us to identify anything that's going to take more than a few minutes. Because if it's something that we need to focus on for at least 5 or 10 minutes, we should probably schedule 15 minutes for that task specifically, and put it on the calendar. And I'll explain why that helps in a little bit. Sometimes you'll find that you'll do those things before you ever have to get to the scheduled time for them. But having them on the schedule will help, which brings us to the S, schedule focus, right? So now what we want to do is through those emails, the ones we didn't want to get rid of, and we've cleared out all our action items, we might have some emails or some other things that need to be scheduled, right? So whatever those action items were that couldn't get done in a few minutes, you can go create tiny little calendar events and throw them on your calendar for things that you need to do. Or you could put those list those things on something like a Trello or a Kanban board, and then you'd be able to just schedule a chunk to go address items on that board. But what you want to do is make sure that whatever didn't get deleted in the first level or taken care of under E or taken care of under A, that you schedule time for it, right? That you schedule the rest of your day. We'll talk a little bit more about this. We're going to go through each one of these in more detail, and then I'm actually going to open up and show you my schedule and how I process these things. So then we come to the last one: engage with satisfaction, gratitude, or I like engage with joy. What this means is if we can get those first three things done in 30 minutes, what we want to accomplish with whatever time we have remaining in the hour is to go engage with something that's satisfying, engage with something that makes us happy, engage with something of appreciation. So this could be like once I worked in a building with, I had a thousand, almost 1,000 employees reporting to me. So during my engage with joy or engage with satisfaction time, engagement time, I would go sit in the break room. And I do this early in the morning. So typically, while I was in the break room, it'd be people coming in for their day, and I'd get to say hello and greet them and hang out, have a snack, sit down, share a story with someone. Right now, what I've been doing since I've been more in the social media world is social media can become so overwhelming. Right. What I do is I actually take the 30 minutes and I use that time to go through all my socials. So I go through, open all of my windows, and then go, tell people thank you for their comments, love their comments, like them, whatever. But just go find the goodness out there. And why this is really important to do in this order, right, is the email cleanup part is going to help raise your level of awareness. You're going to start to understand, okay, I know what information is coming into me, and I've cleaned out anything that doesn't need to be there. As we, that will get better and better and more powerful, but it'll start to give you a feeling of clarity and confidence, or it should, right? In the action items, right? Because you went and you accomplished small things fast. It's going to feel like you're winning. It's going to feel like you're being successful. And that's going to help raise your vibration a little bit. It's going to help get you in a better mood because you're gonna be like, okay, I got a couple things off my plate. And then when we go into that schedule focus and we take everything we have to do and we lay it out on the calendar, we start to get a good sense of what our day is going to look like. If there's more things than you can put on the calendar in a day, that's all right. You don't overlap them, don't stock them, because that's the problem. You have to leave them on the calendar. If you need to push them off to the next day, you push them off to the next day. But this starts to give you a sense of your worth, that how valuable your time is, and that even outside of meetings that are scheduled or anything else, like that there's always something that you can be doing that can contribute. And in the spaces where you're not, and these are important, we're going to get into this, is make sure you have breaks. You should be scheduling yourself some break time in there, maybe even if it's 5 minutes between two 15-minute tasks or whatever the case may be, just giving yourself a little bit of room just to relax and take a breath and transition from one task to the next. It really is important and helpful to just take a little bit of transaction time. But so we get clarity, we get the feeling of success, and then we get confidence through putting our schedule out. That puts us in a pretty good mood right there. From that good mood, it is a great time to go engage with people. It's a good time to go out there and talk to your crew, send happy, thoughtful emails. You can even just send a random email to someone that you've been wanting to tell thank you, that you haven't had that opportunity yet. You can do that, or like I'm doing right now, you can use that time to go out there and actually set up all the or engage with your social media audience. So let's dig in a little bit deeper. We'll go into the email cleanup, sift and sort. So let's talk about what we want to do here. The first couple things to think about is we want to delete, archive, unsubscribe, block, or set rules, right? Early on, if you have a high volume of email coming in, and some of those are spam emails, maybe you want to block them, maybe you want to unsubscribe from them. If you're in a corporate environment and you're on a lot of distribution lists, maybe you need to set rules to get some of those alert-based emails to go to a specific folder where you can set time to go look at those specifically when you need to. But ultimately, what you want to do is get your inbox down to where what's coming into your inbox is a manageable set of information every day, right? You should honestly, the emails we really need to read and pay attention to and do something about should be no more than 10, maybe 20 per day. If you're having more than that, there's probably some help or something in your organization might need to alter, or you need an administrator or something if you're not able to manage the volume of information that's coming into you every day. So delete junk emails, archive emails that were conversations that you don't need, put them in a folder, hit the archive button, unsubscribe to unwanted mailing lists. If they won't give you an unsubscribe option, block them. And if it's part of a distribution list where you don't need to read every email, set rules to move it out of your inbox so you don't ever see it in the first place. So that's kind of the first effort that we want to take as we're doing this. And this is why I said when you begin this process, the email part may take up most of the hour initially, but the more you do it, the easier this will get. The next thing we want to do is read, file, and tag useful or important information. So you may have got an email that's someone giving you an update on something. Maybe you need to watch it. You can leave that email in your box, but now you've just been informed, right? If you feel that conversation's over and it's good, but you want to keep it, you can file that away. You can create a folder for it, or you can also archive it, whatever it is, but read or file that information. I typically like to file anything that was valuable information to me in a folder that kind of represents what that information's about. So if it's like from a certain vendor or provider, or if it's related to a certain course I'm building or project I'm running, right? I put it into a file where it goes there. Also, you can tag these things. You can, in some email systems, you can put like, I've done things like I'm waiting for a response on this email, and I'd use a specific color for it so that I knew when I seen emails of that color that I was actually looking for a response. When the response would come, that email would turn bold and show a new email, and it would have a green tag on it that would let me know that was that was a response I was waiting for, right? So you can create fun little tags like that. Anything that helps you understand why that thing's going to sit in your inbox. Sometimes things do need to sit there. I've left certain emails there in my inbox, and you'll see that after the class when I go through my own, for weeks, because it's something that I'm going to need later. I don't want to lose track of it. I want to kind of keep it at the top of my mind, so I'll leave it there. But again, I don't like my email inbox list to where I have to scroll down. If I have to scroll down to see everything that's in my inbox, there's too much there, and I need to do some work to clean it up. All right. Again, what are the benefits of this? You're going to feel informed. You're going to feel aware of what's going on, and you're going to feel more in control of what information is coming into you, as well as what do you need to respond to. You've just created a massive amount of value add to your time by making sure that the time you spend looking at your inbox is as valuable as possible. And when you do that, you should have to spend as little time as needed doing that activity. Like I said, I spend about 10 minutes tops a day. So now, after that, I like to just add this quote in. This is from Eckhart Tolle, speaking of enthusiasm and speaking of having a motivated work life full of ease. He says, "You will feel like an arrow that is moving toward the target and enjoying the journey." And that's what we're looking to accomplish here with ease. So we just took the first step of that. We're going to clean up our email, and so we can start to be like that arrow. Maybe you could say this is like pulling the bow back and getting ready to launch. All right, so the next one, the A, action items, quick wins. What are we looking for here? Things that are low-hanging fruit and things that can be done quickly. So sometimes you'll get an email in or a notification or something where you just need to write a sentence, right? And a lot of times we'll procrastinate off these things. Oh, I'll just do it later, do it later, do it later. But then you end up in the death by 1,000 paper cut situation. You have 1,000 tiny little things that you never did. And they won't get done because you keep pushing them off thinking, oh, I'll always have time for it later, but you never actually do it. So you can take 10 minutes right here, or if you have a bunch of them, but you want to start getting rid of those action items. Sometimes it's, going into your medical provider's thing and setting an appointment. Some of these actions only take 2-3 minutes, not very long. So that's what we're looking for, are things that can be done quickly, so that we can then file those emails or something. And also another, action item here, and I know our next step is scheduling, but what I like to do in this action item, if I find something that I think is going to take me longer than this time I've allotted for my quick wins, I create a calendar. I block out a little space on my calendar for it, maybe 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever I think the task is going to take. I throw it on my calendar because that's a win for me now. Now I know now I've created time. I know that as I progress through time, I'm going to come up to that item that I've invented or that I've created, and I'm going to have the time for it. So that's claiming a win right there. This also helps if you're in the kind of environment where people are scheduling calls for you. If you're scheduling time out for the individual tasks that you need to do, then your calendar is going to fill up with tasks, right? This can be a really good indicator to your management. If they're going, why is your calendar always full? You can look back and say, well, look at all the tasks that I'm doing. And you can literally show your calendar as kind of a record of this is all the work that I'm doing. And this is why I'm booked out for the next 4 days and I don't have any available space for a meeting, right? It can also help with the conversation if you're getting a lot of meetings thrown over your tasks. And, you can go back and say, look, here's all the tasks I'm trying to accomplish, the things that I need to do, but I keep getting these meetings. So this can, tracking information this way, especially in a corporate environment, can be really helpful for you to manage not just your time, but conversations about your time too, because it gives you an evidentiary record. So that's quick wins, also quick responses, and create tasks for important items. So you covered that before the bullet. Benefits, you're going to feel successful, feel productive, and feel responsive because you've already gone through all your emails. You've known what to focus on, what to prioritize, and now you've just sent those responses back. So people are going to feel like they're at least going to hear from you at a minimal once a day. It'll never be greater than a 24-hour turnaround. Look, we don't want to spend all our time watching our email, and if someone sends you an email and they're waiting for a response in 30 minutes, they probably have better things they need to be doing, rather than waiting for you to respond. Jumping in and taking care of this first thing in the morning should be sufficient in most cases. We don't want to become slaves to our email inbox. That's why we do this quick. We do it effectively. All right. So here's a quote from Wayne Dyer. This is from what do you call it, a webinar he did called Healing Wisdom. And I love this. And he says in the session, if there was if there's only nothing else that someone would take away from the conversation, there was two important things. And the first thing was that it makes no sense to worry about the things you have no control over, right? You can't control the emails that are always coming into you, but you can move them, you can organize them, right? You can't control what's going on in the world, you can't control your bosses, you can't control your employees, so what we want to do is not worry about those things and find those ways to not worry about them. So he said it makes no sense to worry about the things you have no control over. And then he finished, that was the first thing, with the second thing. And then it makes no sense to worry about the things you do have control over, because you have control over them. And that's what we're doing in this process. We're sorting out the things that we don't have control over from the things that we do have control over, and we're taking action on the things that we have control over. It's a very empowering feeling. All right, the third step here, schedule focus. Pardon me, I'm gonna get a drink of water. All right, schedule focus. This one's fun. I'm always happy to play with my calendar because it gives me a sense of fulfillment and power. Right? I know how my day's going to go. I like it that way. Um, Best way to predict your future is to create it. This gives us an opportunity to do that. All right. So what are we doing here? We want to check our schedule for the day. First thing, let's jump over. What do we got on that calendar? Does it look crazy? Do we have urgent things that we need to jump to? Did something pop up from the night before that we didn't know about? Let's just take a look in and see what our plate looks like for the day. We're going to find time for those tasks that we created, right? So, maybe you created 4 or 5 and there's a little pile of meetings and you realize, those things are going to take 3 hours to do all those tasks. maybe some of them you're like, this one should go over here. This one I probably need to do before that one. So, you start to sort those tasks into the spaces that they'll go. Um, yes, and this I want to bring this one up. Ensure you schedule breaks and rest periods. Also, in between those tasks, right? If it's 2 15-minute tasks or 3 15-minute tasks, sometimes you can go ahead and just put them back and back to each other. And this is why I say if it's a 5 or 10-minute task, schedule 15 minutes for it because you'll be able to get it done in less than 15 minutes and you'll have a few moments to change the direction of your thought, especially if the task might have been unrelated. And I experienced this a lot the more senior level of leadership or management positions I was in, I had to do a lot of different tasks, and sometimes they were totally unrelated. I might be doing some HR support, in one task, and then finance in the next, and then responding to an individual or employee or something like that about a very different topic, and then doing, community events or whatever the case may be. So it's good to just give yourself a little bit of time. Now, if you needed to schedule more than 15 minutes, or it would do that. The next thing is do to go up to 30 minutes. Anything over 30 minutes or 45 minutes, you may want to consider actually scheduling yourself a 15-minute just transition period in there. Or if you're going to do back-to-back tasks for an hour and a half, definitely give yourself 15, even 30 minutes just for a transition period. This isn't necessarily like a break. You're going to go sit outside and do nothing. You can also do that, but just some space on your calendar to go. Okay, let me kind of process that information and then get ready for this next thing. And this allows us to change our intentions and go into whatever we're doing with intention to be successful in the thing that we're about to do. So those rest, break, and transition periods are really helpful and really important. Also, it's not great to have meetings back to back unless the meetings are on the same topic. So same kind of fundamental rule. I would encourage a lot of leads and managers that I use to schedule their meetings starting at either the full hour or half hour period, schedule them for 45 minutes, because this will typically create a 15-minute break naturally for people after a meeting. And doing 45 minutes of meetings and then having a natural 15-minute period where people can take a break is great. Sometimes you'll find some really industrious people that like to try to book that 15 minutes, and I usually just decline those and say, if you want my attention, you send me an email, we'll create a task or meeting and we'll talk about it tomorrow. But if you're just trying to jump into 15 minutes, that's a little bit of just rudeness. So all right. Benefits, you'll feel clarity, orientation, and direction. Right now, you know where your day is going. You know that things will get done. You can let go of those things because you don't need to think about them until you start to approach doing those. This helps us to get more focus. That's where the clarity comes from. It helps us with our orientation. We have an understanding of what's going on and we know in which direction this day is going to move forward. So let's take a look at our next quote here. This one's from Dr. Joe Dispenza. He said this while I was at one of his advanced classes. The hardest part about change is not making the same choices you did the day before. I thought that was just kind of beautiful and profound, right? These things that we're talking about, maybe they seem like a lot. Maybe you're having this moment of, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. How am I ever going to do all this? It changes when you change. When you're willing to show up and say, look, I want to do something about this. I want to take the initiative to make this thing better in my life. You start up, you start doing it. Maybe the first day, like I said, you never get off the first E. But after a week or two, you're going to find yourself flying through this. All right, so let's move to the second E, which is my favorite, engage with satisfaction and gratitude. So what we're talking about here is not important tasks. This is not the moment where you go, okay, I got everything done. Let me go jump on the most important thing. We very specifically want to take a break from that. You should have just accomplished scheduling all the important tasks that you need to do. Now, if there is a crisis or emergency or something severe going on, I get it. Go do that. I'm not saying not to go take care of something that's really critical. but that should not be happening every day. If it is happening every day, you have an operational dysfunction that needs to be addressed outside of that. So your important tasks should be scheduled. You can potentially write a supportive message to someone. Say you got done with your first three letters in 45 minutes, and this is the first time you've had it, and you're like, oh gosh, I don't even know how to engage or what to do. Just think about someone that did something nice for you, something that you appreciated, anything. It doesn't matter how little or small it is. Write that person an email and send it to them. Um, you can engage with your audience on social media. This is what you'll see me doing in a little bit. I will pull up all of my social media windows. I'll go through them, click on each one, look for questions, responses, and so forth. And then focus on what feels good. So you just went through a period of time. If you've got this to the point where you're doing the first 10 minutes a piece in 30 minutes, you just spent half an hour with a disciplined, intentional focus on a variety of things, which means your mind moved with purpose quickly. That's a mental exercise. You should feel proud of that. And that's what this second E is about. It's about feeling good, being proud, and thanking yourself, giving yourself some gratitude for the hard work that you just did. The benefits: feel the gratitude, happiness, and I don't know where the last one went there. We'll have to fix that. All right. But anyways, so yeah, this is about finding your joy, finding your happiness. I'll get to something else. There's another benefit here, but let's move on to the next slide. So now we've just gone out, we've engaged in gratitude, joy, and happiness. And this quote from Bruce Lee is one of my favorite: be like water, my friend. And yeah, we're talking about ease, and it looks like there's rapids flowing. But that water is not stressed out. That water is a force of nature, carving its way through a mountain, doing what it naturally does. And that's what this process will help you become, is a force of nature, carving your way through your day, unstoppable, relaxed, and powerful. And that is where, in a leadership position, you want to be able to get yourself as soon as possible, as early as possible in the day, because as a leader, this will reflect in your teammates, in your community, if you're a creator, in your audience. All right. So, what are the major benefits here? Again, we're just going to recap them. You'll quickly feel focused, confident, and happy if you do this well, if you're engaging with joy at the end. Avoid missing little things that could have helped you later on. You're going to have looked thoroughly through everything that you needed to do and make sure that you have responded to it. It's not to say you won't ever miss anything, but you will start to miss things far less. You will also demonstrate responsiveness. So for people who are waiting on your emails or waiting to hear from you, you'll be in better communication, especially those who you engage with. People who do kind things for you, you will most likely in your engagement be doing kind things to them. If you're a creator and you're out there on social media, if your audience is engaging with you, you're going to show responsiveness, that you are engaging back with them on a daily basis. This is really good for your algorithms. It's really good for your employees, and it is good for your mental health if you do it with positivity, right? You're also going to create model behavior for others to follow. So if you're in a workplace environment where you're on a team, or even if you're the boss or just an employee, people will see you doing this, and people will see the success that you start to have and how it looks like you always seem to be on your game, and they will wonder what it is that you're doing. And you can share that with them. People will look to you for leadership. So the way you become a leader is by leading, not by telling people what to do, not by coming up with a better idea or rewriting all the rules. You do it by the doing, by leading by example, getting out there and becoming something that people want to become, right? So you're creating model behavior for others to follow. And you're also setting tone and atmosphere for your team. So if you're on a team with a bunch of peers, as you do this, people will see this, and it will look, you're giving people permission to perform at a higher level. So they'll look at that. Some people won't like that. They'll go, oh man, look, this person's coming in working hard. I was so happy sitting around for the first 3 hours of my day doing nothing and wasting my time and being miserable and complaining about it. So it looks like I'm busy and nobody can judge me and I'm just kind of miserable. Now this person's going to come in, they're going to start their day off, they're going to feel wonderful, get happy, and it's going to ruin my whole life. Well, you know what? I'm not really worried about that person. We're here for us. Remember, the first thing I said, show up for yourself, right? And you will set the tone and atmosphere for performance and success in your team. And now, if you are a manager or a CEO, this is so important because think about the kind of environment. If I know you've been there, but if you've seen your leader come into an area where you're working and they come in, they got a smile on their face because they're about to go do their E's. They're going to sit down, they're going to be responsive, check on things, and then go around and be kind and friendly. And they do this almost every day. Your level of confidence as an employee is going to go up. Your relaxation is going to settle in. Your frustration is going to come down, and you're going to think in a more focused manner. They're also typically, you're going to look and go, wow, that's what a successful person is doing. How do I model that behavior? So for leaders, especially senior leaders, this is really important because you will set the tone that it is important that you engage with gratitude, satisfaction, and joy every day as much as possible. Will there be terrible days where this won't work? Absolutely, there will. But let those be the exception and let this be the practice norm that we bring to the environment that we work in. All right. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed that. We'll be working to put these into a course module so that you can get to this anytime. I'm also going to be setting up a calendar invite through all of next week and the middle of next week, where you can jump on a call with me if you want. And as I go through the process, I'm going to be there. So basically, the first 20 to 30 minutes of the call, it's going to be really quiet as we all go through our email, we go through our action items, we go through our scheduling activities, and then we'll throw in the chat that we're ready to engage. And then we can engage with each other right there. So if that engagement part's new to you and you want to hear how people can engage with gratitude, with satisfaction, with joy, you'll get to be in that. And also sometimes just having that accountability of a group that you need to show up with and show up for can help us jumpstart and get these better behaviors started in our own life. So thank you so much for that. All right, now next thing I wanted to do was just quickly go through the ease process myself because that's the next thing I have on my schedule. You're going to see it here in just a moment. Um, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. So you know this isn't just me blowing smoke. This is what I do on a daily basis. Give me just a moment. I'm going to share my window. All right. So first we'll start with email. So here's my email. I look through here. I can tell most of these that I'm looking at, projects best fire, are not anything that I need to worry about. So I can click through, archive those. These emails I know from yesterday are emails that I'm saving for something else that I have to do. Now, it took a lot of work to get this to where my inbox wasn't filled up with junk. I haven't checked that in a day. It's also the weekend, but you can see that literally took me 1 minute. The first task is done. All right, action items. I didn't have any action items from those. So, you know, I could look into my Trello board or wherever I keep different information, and then I could find my action items from there. But since I did this yesterday, it's the weekend. I don't have a lot. Again, just a couple minutes. The next thing I would do is come and I would create tasks wherever I needed to create tasks, right? If I color code and do energy tracking. If you join me on my calls and you want to ask more about the coloring that I use, why I use it, and all that stuff, I could, but you can now see I can just move this anywhere that I need in the calendar. If I feel like I need more time or less time, I can do that. I can quickly make as many of those as I want and say, oh, look, you know, I'm going to need 15 minutes to do that. And I really need to have that done before this call here. So I'll put it here or whatever the case may be. So this is how I can set out my my calendar for the day. I look, I make sure that I know where all my calls are. What do I have coming next? Look, even the course, teaching it didn't take an hour. And here I'm moving into ease. I've already been through 2 steps and in the third one. So I can save this time for myself here at all for engagement. This is why I like blocking it for the hour, right? If you're really pressed for time and you can do this in 30 minutes, you only have 30 minutes, then do it in 30 minutes. But I like to set an hour out for it because the faster I can get those 3 done, the more time I get to go do the fun parts of this, right? For me, and I won't drag you through all of these, but the next thing that I would do is I would come in and I would start to open my social media accounts and take a look at what's going on out there, right? So let's take a look at TikTok. There's what's coming up in my For Yous. Looks like I've got some system notifications and some likes. Nothing big. Nothing was released there in the past couple days. So might come in, see where we're doing with our views, see how things are going, check on that one, and then move forward through the rest of my social medias. And that's it. I can take as long, I can go leave comments, I can read. If I run out of social media stuff to do, I might, I don't know, go take a walk, go to the corner store, talk to someone. But the idea is whatever time I've set, I'm going to go find some way to engage with gratitude, tell someone I appreciate them, thank them for what they're doing, engage with joy, do something talk to somebody who makes me happy. Maybe call a friend I haven't seen in a while. Who knows? Whatever the case may be, it's about engaging with joy. So I hope that this was helpful. For any of you that watch this, if you would please leave me a comment. Let me know if this is helpful for you. If you're using this and it's working for you, I would love to hear that feedback. Like I said, I'm teaching this because it's something that I've done throughout my career for over a decade, and it's really helped me just to stay on top of things and always be a responsive and engaged leader. I'd like to hear from you what your thoughts are. Also, if you want more like this, please come join us at www.evolving hyphen or dash evolving dash mindsets.com. There will be more classes like this developed, more live trainings, more live engagements, just whatever we can do to help you start to win every day. Thanks.